Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about the single most reason that existing customers call into the shop, and that is their TV is on the wrong input. Um, we get probably 15 to 20 calls about this every week, and uh, there's a gazillion different brands out there, so every TV is different. But as we go through this, you'll see what I mean about being on the wrong input, and it's you know, 9 out of every 10 homes has dealt with this regularly. So hopefully this video will help fix that. So this is just a small number of name brands of TVs. But this is what I mean. I mean, there's a gazillion more than even what's listed here. So there's a lot. So just bear with us. There's, every remote for every TV is different. Every TV functions just a little bit different. But that being said, they all have the basic outline of the same functions. So hopefully we can get through this. So the first thing you need to figure out what kind of TV you have, which you probably already know. There's either you have the new flat screens, the new high definition TVs, or you have one of the older ones. And forgive that image on the screen there. That's when I searched older TV images on Google. That's what I found. So there it is. On the back of every TV, you have where your inputs go. This is where you plug in the cables. You've got here. That's where the antenna coax connection screws in. That can either be for the older receivers from Dish and Direct. That's typically where cable TV goes in. Your outside antenna for like local channels, that's where that would go. You've got over here the HDMI inputs. Sometimes you've got them here on the back, and then there's a third one or a fourth one on the side or in a different section of the TV. These are the ends of these are the flat black cables. Sometimes they're gold plated, but they look like they fit in that slot. So you've got your RCA jacks, which are also called AVI jacks, or the video inputs, where you have like the red, white, and yellow, the three little plugs. Similar to that are the component cables. They look the same except for their green, blue, and red. A lot would argue that was TV's first attempt at doing high definition, but there's a clear difference between the two. So those are typically the coax connection, the HDMI connection, and the video connection, the RCA jacks. Those are typically the three that you see. You do see component from time to time, but those are the main three: the coax, the RCA, and the HDMI. So again, you've the different inputs on TVs. You have the HDMI, which is your high definition input. Again, there may be multiple inputs of these. There's AVI, which is also called video, and again, there may be multiple inputs. There's component. Typically, there's only one of these on the back of a TV, but sometimes there's more. And then there's the TV connection, which is also called antenna or air. Again, that's the coax, the thing you screw onto the back. And when you're looking at your input list, and we'll get to how to see that later, but they may be called different things. Like AVI may be called video, or TV may be called antenna, air, or sometimes even cable. I've seen AVI listed as DVD, and that's typically when most of the DVD players out there, they connect with the red, white, and yellow, and when you do that, some of these newer TVs relabel that input as DVD. If you're looking at that and it's not matching anything that we've listed in this video and you're just confused, call us. As with anything, just call us. We've dealt with enough of this. We can help figure it out. So this is what you'll see on your screen. These are some examples of what you'll see on your screen when you're on the wrong input. You'll see just a black screen where it says no signal in this corner, this corner, this corner, middle screen, wherever. Or you'll see the blue screen, that's all. Or just a blank black screen. The TV's on, but it's just blank. And then, of course, the dreaded snowy screen. So those are some examples. Some examples of it not being on the wrong input. And this is, that almost every customer, when they call in and they're on the wrong input, they start out by saying, my satellite's not working. Well, my first question is always, well, what do you see on the screen? Because if they don't see, searching for satellite signal or complete signal loss or a DirecTV logo or a Dish logo, if you don't see any of those and you just see some of the examples on the previous page, then there's nothing wrong with your satellite, typically. You're just on the wrong input. So if you see one of these messages, you have a problem. You need to call us. So the first step is getting your TV on the right input. So what you need to do is put down the Dish Network or the DirecTV remote. A lot of these remotes are programmed to control the volume and turn the TV on and off, but the TV input buttons on the Dish and Direct remotes don't typically work. We prefer that when you're trying to fix this, put down the Dish or Direct remote and grab the original TV remote that came with the TV when you bought it. If you don't have it, or you have it and it doesn't work, or you don't have batteries to put in it, whatever, you can try walking up to the TV itself and finding the appropriate buttons. What we're looking for on the remote for the TV or on the TV itself is either the input button, the source button, and sometimes the remotes actually have individual sources labeled out, like HDMI 1, HDMI 2, AV1, TV, video. Typically, we see an input or a source button, and that's the first question I'll ask. Please try to find the input or source button on your remote. Okay? So now, once you've found that, when you press it, one of three things is going to happen. An input list like this is going to come up. A input list like this is going to come up, or if when you hit it, it just starts cycling through the options. The key is whether you get this screen, or it just starts changing. If you keep hitting that input or source button, it'll start to cycle through the different options, period. So that's what you're trying to gain there, is just changing the input. Now, getting on the right input means you need to know which input you need to be on. There's a million different ways I could go through on how to figure out which input you're supposed to be on. The simplest is to look in the back of the TV and follow the cable that goes from the back of the TV to the back of the Direct or Dish receiver. If it's plugged into HDMI, you got to be on HDMI. If it's plugged in with red, white, and yellow, you have to be on AV1 or video or whatever it is. And then if it's screwed on with the coax, you need to be on channel 3, maybe channel 4, and in some cases, with like Dish Network specifically, you need to be on channel 60. So the point is, if you know what input it's supposed to be on, put it on that input. And to put it on that input, you simply keep hitting that source or input button until the one you want is highlighted. So let's say it needs to be on HDMI 1. This one, in this example, is highlighted on TV. So just keep hitting that input or source button until it gets down to HDMI 1, and then let go. Don't press anything. It'll automatically switch to that input. So that's what we're looking for. If when you hit the input button, if it's just changing it on the screen, it's not showing you one of these two menus, then just get to the right one. If you don't know which input you're supposed to be on, then typically what we just try over the phone and what you can try at home is just try every input until you see picture. Period. Once you have picture back on the screen and you're watching your Dish Network or DirecTV, just put the original TV remote down and grab your satellite remote. With Direct, you've either got a remote that looks like this or one that looks like this, and then with Dish, you've got a remote that looks like this or like this. With this specific DirecTV remote right here, you don't have to do anything more with the remote. With this one, if you have this one, there's a little slider bar at the top here. Make sure it's all the way to the left before you start pressing buttons on it. With either Dish Network remote, what typically happens to get people on the wrong input is this second clear button at the top left here, right there and right there, it says TV on it. And if that button accidentally gets pushed and you press channel up, bam, you're on the wrong input because you're controlling the TV. The button on the very far left at the top is a clear button that says SAT. When that is selected, you're in satellite mode, so you can't mess up the TV channel. So once you get your TV on the right input, Just make sure you press that SAT button one time. That way you know for sure your Dish Network remote is in satellite mode, ready to control the satellite. So, that's it. That's how you fix that. As I said in the beginning, there's 800 different kinds of TVs, 8 million, whatever. So these instructions are pretty broad for trying to cover any kind of TV basis there. Note that on the older TVs, they may not have a source or an input button. They may only have like a TV video button, or they may not even have that. On those older TVs, there's really only two options for connection. There's the red, white, and yellow, which means your TV needs to be on video, or it's screwed onto the back with coax, meaning it needs to be on either channel 3, channel 4, or channel 60. Try all those. If none of those work, if none of these options work, do not hesitate to call us anytime. You can reach the main office at 260-248-4888. That's where you can reach any one of the 5 people that work here. Or you can call me directly at 260-244-3300. That is a great number for after hours because when I'm not here, it forwards to my cell phone. And I encourage customers to call that number. If it's 8, 9 o'clock at night and you messed up your TV, you try to call a shop and you leave us a voicemail. And, I don't want you to go all night without TV, especially if you're a person that watches a lot of TV at night. So call me. That's why I give the number out. This next option is not the greatest for customer service. It's basically just for general questions, but you can always email us. If you want immediate results, call us. But Mike's Satellite at embarkmail.com. Again, that's Mike's Satellite, so that's 2 S's in a row there. And as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks, guys.